You won't believe what American military censors discovered when they started reading letters that German prisoners of war were trying to send home to their families. Instead of complaints about harsh treatment or desperate pleas for help, they found something that completely shocked them, letter after letter praising America and describing their captivity in terms that sounded more like a vacation than imprisonment. These weren't just isolated cases either. Thousands of German soldiers were writing home with WWII, stories so positive about American treatment that military officials worried the letters might actually be damaging German morale. More than any Allied propaganda campaign ever. Could picture this: you're a German soldier who's been captured in North Africa or Italy, shipped across the Atlantic on a crowded transport ship, expecting to face starvation, torture, and brutal treatment from your American captors. You've been told your entire life that Americans are soft but vicious enemies who will show no mercy to German prisoners. Then you arrive at an American POW camp and discover something that shatters every assumption you've held about your enemies. The food is better than what you ate in the German army. The barracks are cleaner than your quarters back home. The guards treat you with professional respect rather than cruelty. And most shocking of all, you're actually gaining weight in captivity, while your family back in Germany is slowly starving under wartime rationing. Hans Müller, a 23-year-old Wehrmacht soldier captured in Tunisia, wrote to his mother in Bavaria, describing his daily routine at a camp in Texas. "Dear Mama, I know you will not believe this, but I must tell you the truth. We eat meat every day here, sometimes twice a day. There is fresh bread, real butter, and coffee. Actual coffee, not the ersatz we drink at home. The American guards do not beat us or curse us. They simply do their job and leave us alone. I am gaining weight while you write of standing in bread lines. I feel ashamed to be eating so well while you suffer. But I wanted you to know I am not only surviving, but thriving." This letter, like thousands of others, was intercepted by military censors who couldn't decide whether to let it through or block it for security reasons. The letters kept coming, each one more enthusiastic than the last. Friedrich Weber, captured during the Italian campaign, wrote a detailed account to his father about the camp's recreational activities. "We play soccer every afternoon on a proper field with real goals. There is a library with German books, and we are allowed to attend classes to learn English. Some of the men have formed an orchestra, and we perform concerts for ourselves and sometimes even for the American guards, who seem to enjoy our music. On Sundays, those who wish can attend church services. I have never experienced such freedom in captivity." The American military began to realize they had stumbled onto something unprecedented. Their humane treatment of prisoners was creating inadvertent propaganda. That was more effective than anything their psychological warfare departments had produced. But it wasn't just the physical conditions that amazed the German prisoners, it was the casual abundance they witnessed all around them. Otto Schneider, a former panzer commander, wrote extensively about his work detail experience on American farms. "Today I worked alongside an American farmer harvesting corn. At lunchtime, his wife brought us sandwiches thick with ham and cheese, fresh milk from their cows, and slices of apple pie. The farmer told me his son is fighting in France against our armies, yet he and his wife treat me with kindness I did not expect. When I asked why, he simply said, 'You're far from home, son, and everyone deserves decent treatment.' I cannot reconcile this with what we were taught about American brutality. Their abundance seems limitless. They throw away food scraps that would feed a German family for days." The psychological impact of this treatment was profound, and it came through clearly in the letters home. Many prisoners wrote about experiencing cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable feeling that everything they'd been taught about their enemies might be wrong. Wilhelm Hoffmann, captured at Monte Cassino, penned a particularly revealing letter to his brother, serving on the Eastern Front. "Klaus, I must share something that troubles my thoughts day and night. The Americans I encounter daily are not the monsters our propaganda described. They work hard, they laugh easily, they speak of their families with love, and they treat us with a fairness I did not expect. Yesterday, one of the guards showed me photographs of his children and asked about my family back home. How can these be the same people we are fighting against? I fear we have been told many lies, and I wonder what other truths we have been denied." The most powerful letters were those that described encounters with American families. Through work programs that allowed prisoners to labor on farms and in communities, German POWs got unprecedented glimpses into civilian American life. Joseph Hartman, working on a dairy farm in Wisconsin, wrote what became one of the most widely circulated letters among military censors. "I have been invited into an American home for Sunday dinner. Can you imagine this? The family whose son may be fighting our soldiers invited me to sit at their table, share their food and join in their conversation. The children asked me about Germany, not with hatred but with curiosity. The mother served me portions that would feed our entire neighborhood back home. When I asked why they showed such kindness to an enemy, the father said, 'In our faith, we're taught to treat strangers as we would want our own family treated.' I wept that night, thinking of how we have been taught to hate these people who show such humanity." As more letters poured in describing similar experiences, a pattern emerged that caught the attention of American military psychologists. The German prisoners weren't just commenting on their treatment. They were unconsciously comparing American society to their own and finding their homeland wanting. Ernst Kruger, a Luftwaffe pilot shot down over Sicily, wrote a particularly insightful analysis to his university professor father. "Herr Professor, you taught me to observe and analyze, so I will share my observations of American society from my unique perspective as their prisoner. Their factories produce not just for war, but for civilian comfort. Their farms yield abundance even during wartime. Their workers seem motivated by something other than fear. They joke and sing while they labor. Their children attend school rather than military training. Their women participate in public life rather than being confined to domestic roles. I begin to wonder if our sacrifices have been for a system that was already defeated by a better way of life. The religious experiences described in many letters particularly puzzled German prisoners who had been raised under Nazi ideology that portrayed Christianity as weakness. Gustav Richter, working in a camp near a small American town, wrote about his first experience attending an American church service. "They invited us prisoners to attend church with the local families. I went out of curiosity, expecting to see weak, defeated people seeking comfort in superstition. Instead, I found strength and confidence I had not anticipated. The pastor spoke of forgiveness, love for enemies, and hope for peace. American families with sons fighting our countrymen prayed for all soldiers on both sides to return home safely. After the service, they welcomed us warmer than our own people sometimes did. I am beginning to understand that what we called weakness may actually be a different kind of strength." Food remained a constant theme in nearly every letter, but the descriptions went beyond mere abundance to touch on deeper cultural differences. Heinrich Müller, captured at Anzio, wrote extensively about American eating habits and what they revealed about society. "We eat better as prisoners than we did as soldiers, and better than our families eat as free citizens. But more striking is how casually Americans treat this abundance. They do not hoard or ration by instinct, as we have learned to do. Her guard discarded half a sandwich yesterday, more food than my sister sees in a week, according to her last letter. This is not waste born of disrespect for food, but abundance so complete that scarcity seems impossible to them. They have built a society where hunger is not a constant companion, and this changes how they view the world and each other. Perhaps the most damaging letters to German morale were those that described American industrial capacity. Workers detailed on factory assignments wrote home about production lines that seemed to run endlessly, creating weapons and supplies at rates that dwarfed German production. Kurt Zimmermann, assigned to help build aircraft parts, wrote a sobering assessment to his former commanding officer. "Herr Oberst, if you could see what I witness daily, you would understand why our cause may be hopeless. American factories do not struggle for resources or materials as ours do. They do not work by torchlight to avoid bombing raids. Their assembly lines produce aircraft faster than we can shoot them down. Workers arrive each morning in their own automobiles, and labor with efficiency that comes from being well-fed, well-housed, and well-compensated. They sing American songs while they build the planes that bomb our cities. This is not the decadent, lazy society our leaders described."
The letters also revealed how American treatment of prisoners contradicted Nazi racial ideology. Many German soldiers commented on seeing African American guards and workers treated with respect and dignity that challenged everything they had been taught about American racial policies. Franz Weber, stationed at a camp in the American South, wrote a confused but enlightened letter to his father. "Papa, I have seen things that contradict what we learned about American race relations. Yes, there is segregation here, but the colored soldiers guard us with the same professionalism as the white soldiers. They are well armed, well trained, and clearly trusted with important duties. Yesterday, a colored medical orderly treated my fever with skill and kindness. How can they be the inferior race our teachers described if they serve competently in positions of authority? I fear we have been taught many lies about many things." As 1944 turned into 1945 and German defeat became inevitable, the tone of letters shifted from amazement to a kind of desperate longing. Prisoners who had experienced American abundance and freedom began to dread returning to a devastated homeland. Walter Hoffman wrote what became one of the most poignant letters preserved in military archives. "Liebste Marie, I must tell you something that shames me but that I cannot deny. I no longer want this war to end if it means leaving this place. Here I am treated with dignity, fed well, allowed to learn and grow. The Americans speak of rebuilding Germany after the war, of helping us create a better society. After seeing how they live, how they treat even their enemies, I believe such a future might be possible. I fear returning to rubble and hunger and the hatred that brought us to this war. Is it wrong to hope that American victory might bring American kindness to our homeland?" The cumulative effect of these letters created an intelligence nightmare for German authorities and an unexpected propaganda victory for Americans. Censors on both sides struggled with how to handle correspondence that revealed not American brutality, but American humanity. Some letters were blocked to prevent damage to German morale. Others were allowed through because they contained intelligence value about prisoner treatment. Many families in Germany who received these letters found themselves questioning everything they had been told about the war, about their enemies, and about their own society's choices. The prisoners' words carried weight because they came not from propaganda offices, but from sons, brothers, and husbands writing what they believed to be private thoughts to their loved ones. The post-war impact of these letters extended far beyond their immediate wartime significance. When German prisoners began returning home in 1946 and 1947, they brought with them not just memories, but written records of their American experiences. Families preserved these letters as historical documents, and many were later donated to archives where historians discovered them decades later. The correspondence became crucial evidence in understanding how prisoner treatment affected post-war German attitudes toward America and democracy. The men who wrote these letters became informal ambassadors for American values, their authentic testimony carrying more weight than official propaganda ever could. Their descriptions of American abundance, kindness, and strength helped prepare German public opinion for the massive reconstruction, efforts that would transform their country in the coming decades. What makes these letters particularly significant is their unintended nature. They were private communications between family members, not public statements or official testimonies. The German prisoners had no reason to lie to their loved ones about harsh treatment, making their positive accounts all the more credible and powerful. When thousands of independent sources all reported similar experiences of humane treatment, abundant food, decent housing, and respectful interactions, it created a body of evidence that no amount of propaganda could dismiss. The letters became a testament to the power of treating enemies with dignity and the long-term strategic value of maintaining moral authority even in the midst of total war. They proved that America's greatest weapon wasn't its industrial might or military force, but its ability to turn enemies into admirers simply by living up to its own stated values of human dignity and democratic principles.